With all these moving parts, we're talking hormones, specialized cells, glands, the whole shebang. How on earth does this biological machine stay so perfectly in sync? Well, that's exactly what we're here to find out.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start at the very top, at the command center, with the hormonal kickstart. Then we'll tour the sperm factory itself. After that, we'll follow the journey to maturity, meet the glandular support crew, and wrap it all up by seeing how this whole incredible system maintains a perfect balance. First stop, the hormonal kickstart. Now, you might think all the action happens, well, locally. But the real master plan, the true command center for this whole operation, is actually located right up in the brain.
That's right, the entire process gets its marching orders from some pretty powerful chemical messengers sent out by the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland. You can think of these two as the CEO and the chief operating officer of the whole company. They send out the directives that kickstart everything, from puberty all the way to daily function.
Now, let's meet the two key hormones that get the job done, both produced by these specialized Leydig cells down in the testes. Think of testosterone as the powerful, reliable base model of a car. But for certain jobs, it gets a serious upgrade to dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. DHT is the high-performance, souped-up version. It's way more potent, and it binds to cell receptors like a key in a lock, directly telling your DNA what to do. And here's where you see the real-world results of those hormonal signals. When testosterone and DHT go to work, you see it and you hear it. This is basically the checklist for puberty. The voice deepens, hair starts growing in new places, and you see a big jump in muscle and bone mass. These hormones are literally the architects of male maturation. Okay, so the brain has sent the signal loud and clear. Now let's follow that command down to the factory floor. We're heading into the testes, which are basically a highly specialized and very well-protected manufacturing plant. Inside these incredibly tiny tubes called seminiferous tubules, this amazing process called spermatogenesis is always happening. It's like a microscopic assembly line. You start with the raw materials, the spermatogonia. They divide and mature into spermatocytes, and then they develop into spermatids. They're almost there. And what comes off the line at the end? Fully formed, mobile spermatozoa, ready for their next big step. But hey, the developing sperm aren't in this alone, not even close. They have this absolutely critical support staff, the Sertoli cells. A great way to think of them is as the nursemaids of the factory. They provide a constant stream of nutrients, and just as importantly, they form this protective shield called the blood-testis barrier, keeping the delicate production line safe from anything harmful in the bloodstream.
Now look at this. It's just a number, but it is hugely important. -2 degrees Celsius. The entire factory has to be kept at a super precise temperature, about 2 degrees cooler than the rest of the body. That's the main job of the scrotum, and hitting this exact temperature is non-negotiable for fertility. All the enzymes and processes involved in making sperm are just perfectly optimized for this slightly cooler environment.
Okay, so our product is officially off the assembly line, but it's not quite ready to be shipped out just yet. This next part of the journey is all about the finishing touches and final prep. So after they're made, the sperm move into this really long, coiled tube called the epididymis. Think of this as their training ground or a boot camp. It's here that they mature and really gain the strength and swimming ability, that fertilizing power they're going to need for their big mission. They're stored here until they're called up, and if they're not used, the body has a super efficient recycling program and just reabsorbs them, no waste.
All right, time to meet the support crew. Because here's the thing, sperm never travel alone. During ejaculation, they get mixed with these essential fluids from 3 different glands, which altogether creates the final product we know as semen.
And this breaks down their supply package perfectly. First up, the seminal vesicles contribute a fluid that's rich in fructose. This is basically the high-energy sports drink for the long journey ahead. Next, the prostate gland adds an alkaline fluid, which is like a protective shield, neutralizing the acidic environment they'll encounter. And finally, the bulbourethral glands secrete a lubricant that clears the path and makes everything run smoothly.
So we've seen the commands from the brain and the production on the factory floor. But how does the body make sure this incredibly powerful system doesn't just spin out of control? Well, it all comes down to maintaining a perfect balance, and it's managed by a really sophisticated internal thermostat.
The official sciencey name for this thermostat is the hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis. But really, the best way to think of it is as a classic feedback loop. Just like the thermostat in your house, it's constantly checking the hormone levels, and if things get too high or too low, it makes adjustments to keep everything in that perfect, stable range.
So here's how the on switch works. It's this beautiful, clean chain of command. The hypothalamus sends a signal, GnRH, to the pituitary. The pituitary gets the message and releases two more hormones, LH and FSH. LH travels down to the Leydig cells and tells them, hey, make more testosterone. At the same time, FSH goes to the Sertoli cells and says, all right, time to kickstart sperm production. It's that direct.
But of course, every good on switch needs an off switch. As testosterone levels in the blood start to rise, that testosterone itself sends a signal back to the brain basically saying, okay, you can slow down a bit. This inhibits the release of GnRH and LH. At the same time, the Sertoli cells release their own hormone called inhibin, which travels to the pituitary and says, ease up on the FSH. This negative feedback is what completes the loop and keeps the whole system from going overboard.
And what this all leads to is one of the most fundamental principles in biology, homeostasis. The entire system is this elegant, self-regulating machine that's designed to maintain a steady, stable internal balance through this constant chatter between the brain and the testes.
You know, when you see it all laid out, it's just incredible. A system of such remarkable precision and coordination. And it leaves you with a final thought. If the whole thing is this perfectly tuned, what happens when just one of those tiny signals goes wrong? It really drives home just how vital every single link in this amazing chain really is.